that as well. So it's really caused a lot of difficulty in terms of encore classes and logistics. By the time we all get ready and who gets number 1 and who gets number 10, now I lost another 5 minutes, and you times that by, 6, you're losing a half an hour a day. So there are all the things that we got feedback from teachers.
Well, and it makes, from an instructional time standpoint, it certainly takes up a lot of time, putting them back and taking them back out, and for kids taking responsibility for their laptop that they're carrying around, and then it's not, they're putting it back, and who knows who actually knocked the key off of this laptop. All of that makes sense. All I'm saying is I would want to look at whether or not that additional year of warranty makes sense, and then make sure that we're not having the kids having too much screen time as we're getting younger and younger, with this one-to-one program. And I've also been hearing from a lot of parents that we have a lot of high school kids who are playing video games during class, and they're checking their kids' computers, and their kids are playing video games, and I'm just wondering, I've brought this up numerous times over the past couple of years, and what can we do to prevent the kids from playing video games during class and not paying attention?
So why don't I play Snake on my TI-83?
And they're thinking in middle school when I'm working.
99.
I would like to see something
You always
forward
are gonna find a way.
as far as regulating the amount. I mean, because we can informally say, well, we shouldn't, and it's a guideline, and we should only use it when it makes sense to in the instruction, but you don't know how that's going to play out. So I would like to see some kind of, and I don't know how you would do it, but however you want to keep tabs on it, I would like to make sure, for sure, that our kids aren't on the screens all day. Because that thought does bother me. As much as I want to be technologically advanced, that bothers me a lot.
That's understood, and it bothers all of us. And when we think about even our youngest students using computers, and we absolutely need more time with them with multisensory approaches to learning, especially when they're learning to read, the value of having them not on the computer all day or over 50% of the day, you can see it's pretty glaring. So in terms of developing guidelines, I believe that as we explore that, they'll certainly be different by at least elementary and then secondary.
And you were saying about costs, so you were saying it's $16 more for that third year, that's $9,600 every course is $600, so I mean it's $10,000 basically, rounded up, so you're talking another 10 grand.
Can you speak up, please?
Oh, so the difference was, we were saying we were gonna add an additional $16 for per device. If we were gonna add that third year of warranty, that would be an additional $9,600, which would be $207,600, $207,600, as opposed to $198.
Correct.
Basically $10,000.
Correct, yes. And again, that's this year's prices.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I don't know what's gonna happen next year,
Just numbers.
so, yes.
Where is this budgeted? I feel like we talked about this. Where's it budgeted?
Where is it?
Was there,
So this
was
will
it
be,
part of curriculum? Or
It's
program?
technology.
Technology, okay,
yes,
but
it's
I
under
didn't know.
technology.
Okay, I know we threw it out there before.
No, for next year. I mean, we're talking about for next year
Yeah.
at this point, so yes. So, but no, this comes out of the technology budget.
Okay.
All devices do now.
Okay.
At this level of device, the last 2 years in the middle school would have been part of the budget because we were doing
Correct.
6th and 7th grade.
Yes.
So the question is, if you're going to continue to budget, do you budget it under the current model? Because it's going to be a similar amount of money. Do you budget under the current model, or do you budget under the new model so that your students are working with any of the benefits of going there? That's what the recommendation is that. But from a budget standpoint, we will continue to incorporate that
Correct.
money into the budget for next year.
And we've also, just to note again, in terms of Canvas, so our middle school teachers are using Canvas as the learning management system. So it just stands to reason that if you're using Canvas with the teachers, the students need to be able to access the modules. And then as they move to high school, they're continuing with the same learning management system.
I'll be very honest with you, I'm not in favor of putting screens in front of kids younger and younger. They need to learn how to do an agenda and take notes and use their handwriting and spell words correctly.
They do.
They are.
And they do.
They're not. How many children do you employ? Oh, okay. Right, so when they write, or even all the stuff we get, when they're in their clubs, they can't spell president. have to write something down, but it just spell checks it for them. And you're putting screens in front of them earlier?
We will be having a curriculum proposal to address that very issue this evening. You are correct, I mean, I completely agree with you that when you're learning how to spell, right? You need a multisensory approach to learn how to spell, because the brain imprints that way. You're growing synapses, you cannot learn to spell just on a computer, right? And even in the primary grades when you're learning how to read, there's very little time you're using a computer for that. The reason why there are many reasons why we're looking to provide students with a laptop. It really is because that is the mode of learning they're going to have and the tool they're going to use as they move up grade levels and into college and career. To be savvy on the computer, to know how to use these apps, to know how to improve their own learning. It is
Yeah, what
not a
happens when
tool
they're a
for
small business and they need to learn how to do payroll by hand? Or maybe they're not gonna be computer savvy. They need to learn, you have to crawl and then walk and then run. So, 4 years of the computer in high school, I agree they need to know how to use technology, but they're already 21st century learners by the time they get into elementary school.
Mhm. Right, and you know, that's a really good point, because you have
And now we're gonna put them in screen more
two
and
and
more.
3-year-olds who swipe screens. That is, they're native, they're native learners, right? They grow up now, 2 years old, 3 years old, I don't know who has grandchildren, but I certainly have a 2-year-old who has that kind of capability to swipe and watch, you know, listen to a story time, and that's part of the way they're going to learn. Maybe we don't really agree with that, but I do believe that the reality is most kids have access to iPads when they're little.
And they sit at family dinner on their iPad and don't know how to talk to each other.
And that's a family personal decision. And absolutely I agree that we need discourse. And that's even more important, to be perfectly honest, that we need to develop those skills for appropriate discourse. We are not negating it or neglecting it. This is a tool that enhances learning for students. It provides for a tool for collaboration among students, connecting to the global community. It's really just the tool. It is not a replacement of good sound instruction, or multisensory learning that the brain absolutely needs, especially the developing brain at a young age.
Yeah, I think the parents also have to get kids outside or do something else besides whether they run around the park or in a sports, in an activity, whether it's band or whether it's outside in the playground and stuff like that. I got a granddaughter and I run around there, so I mean, that's part of it.
Yeah, you want them outside and play,
Yeah.
and all those really important things that you provide for your children as they're growing up. But I can't emphasize enough that we really see this as a tool only. And it's only appropriate under certain circumstances.
The computers that are gonna be in the STEM lab, I assume that those have additional features that these laptops wouldn't have.
Correct.
They are, they're more sophisticated.
Correct, much more.
Better video cards, whatever.
Yeah, yes. And like I said, they have, the 8th graders now have the larger screen so they can do their pad a little bit easier. So, I'll continue, I have one more slide. So logistically, and we spoke about a lot of this already, logistically, the students, will carry their laptop in a district-provided, protective sleeve or some type of a bag. What happens if my child forgets their device? Well, loaners will be available if the child forgets the device. What if I come in and I forgot to charge my device? Again, we'll have loaners. At the high school level, we have the loaners in the library. We'll have to see, maybe we'll have enough of these, as Dr. Bolton pointed out. We should have a loaner pool already. We shouldn't have to purchase a loaner pool, so to speak. We may be able to keep a couple loaners in each classroom, or at least in the homeroom. So, hey, teacher, I forgot to bring my device in. Here's a loaner for the day. Content will be filtered at school and at home. Optional accidental damage protection will be available to parents for repairs outside of that warranty work. So again, if they do drop it and that's not covered by warranty, and these are just numbers that we're still working through, but the suggestion is $20 a year for that protection. And that would be optional, just as it is up at the high school level for protection of the device. And then theft or loss of the device is not covered though.
It's not optional at the high school level.
Yes, it is. Absolutely it is.
Starting this year.
Starting-
It didn't used to
Well,
Starting
okay, 'cause
last
it's never
year.
been for mine.
No, starting last year it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did change it. Do you have a child in?
I have a junior. I had to pay for it. It's the only way you can get your laptop
Every
is if you
single
paid
one of the
it.
kids that works for me.
No, it's optional now, so when you go,
It was never stated out that it was optional.
I'll show you
They
where
do.
it's stated, it's very clear on InfoSnap, in red letters, it's optional. It is
I just
optional.
read through the email and it basically said, you can't pick it up until you pay it.
Ms.
No,
Miller,
it's
Ms.
not
Miller,
been-
why don't you speak
Okay.
offline?
All right,
We can
very
address
good.
that.
Okay,
Yeah,
very
thank
good.
you.
Okay, so anyway, and theft or loss is not covered. Okay, and then I have questions, but I think we've answered a lot of those questions as we went here. So, but if there's anything else that I can answer right now among the board, as I said, this is a recommendation. This is where we see it, you know, working with the curriculum department, working with the teachers, working with the principals. This is the way they would like to see it, so that's why I wanted to bring it in front of the board at this point to see, you know, if we move forward with the actual one-to-one.
How many other schools in this area are doing this in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade?
Oh, I will get you the exact throughout the county, but we are, actually, there's many of them. I can get you that information.
When will we make the decision on the 3-year versus 2-year?
Well, yeah, I think we need to see some additional information on the 3 versus 2 year, and what those numbers look like.
Yes.
Or if we started with the 2 and you said that we could always opt into a 3rd year, are we locked into that price though, or is it, or you would be paying whatever the price is in a year and a half?
That's a really good question, but I will have to find out from the rep. That I'm not sure of.
Other
Yeah,
questions?
I think it's probably market value.
Yeah.
Right, because if they're gonna lock you in, then it makes sense to wait, right?
Right.
But-
Going to, they're not going to.
No, I think it would probably be market, but I can find that out. Anything else? Any other questions?
Can you also find out, I guess, Dr. Scheid and together, I don't know which one of you, but I feel like it'd be more Dr. Scheid, if, what other schools that have, what the best practices are for incorporating one-to-ones as you get younger and younger, and see what other schools are doing.
Time-wise?
Time-wise, how they're monitoring it. You know, I'm just sitting here thinking how every Sunday morning on the radio station they have Acoustic Sunday, where it's no, you know, they just play acoustic music. Maybe schools ought to look into having acoustic days where you don't have all this technology all the time, but
I'll get that.
Katie, I know, you're not in favor of this. Are there other members in favor of moving this model forward? So let's, you know, do we want to move the model forward or the one-to-one, or stay the way we are, the way we currently have things supported?
I think we already have essentially a one-to-one program, we're just not letting them carry the computer from class to class. And so that makes more sense than what we're currently doing. But I would also like to see in the information you're gathering, I would like to take a look at how much we're utilizing the warranties on our other laptops, so we can make a better judgment on whether or not we're utilizing those warranties or not, whether it's been cost effective for us to have them. And I know it's gonna be different from computer to computer, but it'll at least give us an idea, right?
Okay.
I'm okay with everything that I just, you know, everything that I, with all of those.
Everything I said since I walked in.
Yeah.
Okay. Peter, you've been kind of quiet over there.
I'm listening.
Okay. So conceptually, do we want to, how do you feel about moving forward to more of a one-to-one model?
I think it makes sense to move that way. Megan's already summarized part of the issue there, that we're doing it without doing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Katie, I'll give you, you're not in favor.
No, now they're gonna go home and sit on the computers we gave them. So if they use it 15 minutes a day in each period, with 6 times, that's 1.5 hours of CBC on the recognized 2 hours of screen time a day.
But they're gonna do that anyway.
So we're just
Except for
gonna-
mommy and daddy's computer.
You
Right?
don't know that.
Or the device.
No,
that
they're
they
in 6th
can
grade,
get.
but you'd hope that they're going outside and playing.
Well, I do think that, I mean, are the kids going to be I don't know if the kids necessarily have to bring their laptops home back and forth every day. They might want to, I guess it depends on what their assignments are like and how much of their work is online versus.
And that could be part of your research of what you're gonna do. Wasn't like a few years ago in France, they passed, was it a law, did it ever make it, where they, were going to basically make a law that you can't send emails after work hours to people and expect them, you can send it, but you can't expect people to reply.
Oh, that's
It was
what
in
it
France,
is.
I remember.
That's where compliance are.
It's a decent couple of years ago now.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, no, like, you shouldn't make, we all know how it feels to be accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We should not be imposing that on children,
No,
that thought that they are
absolutely not.
accessible and responsible 24/7. That's what
Yeah.
But I do think from a parent standpoint too, though, you can make sure that your kid is doing their homework when they get home. And
That's
then,
responsible.
okay, now leave your
Well, that's
laptop over
family
here, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
there's,
maybe there could be some education.
So does it make sense, Ms. Miller, that we can gather some of the information that was spoken about, bringing that
Yes.
back in either January or February? Because really, it is a conceptual conversation around whether we're okay with the model, because from a budgeting standpoint, it's going to be a similar dollar amount regardless of what model we fund.
Correct.
And so really there isn't a significant budget impact, I wouldn't imagine, one way versus the other. We'll talk about the sleeves and those types of things in terms of what that does from a cost standpoint. So let's gather that information. If it's available in January, we'll bring it in January. If not, we can bring that in February. Provide that and see what kind of conversation that spurs, and
Very
then
good.
move from there. Okay?
and I will say, just, when my daughter was in middle school, there were times when she had difficulty doing her homework because she didn't have her school laptop, and then she'd have to try to access her documents, and it's more difficult to access the documents depending on what you're using from a different computer. So there's some benefits that way.
Correct.
So,
Google. 0365.
Yep.
Correct.
Comfortable? Okay, so that being the only item on the agenda, I will open it up to public comments. Okay? Mrs. Harry?
Diane Harron, Hilltown Township. Related to this discussion this evening, I heard something come from administration that was missing. You talk about the staff's input, the integrator's input, your administrative input. I heard nothing about student input. I heard nothing about parent input, okay? We have had hundreds of kids go through this high school now on the one-to-one program. Have we done anything to survey them? To find out if they felt the program helped, hurt? What were the ups? What were the downs? I haven't seen any of that done. And I can tell you, having had 3 of them go, and one still in the high school, each one of them had complaints about the one-to-one program. There were some benefits, but they also had complaints about it. And it falls in line with the concern regarding screen time. Because there are teachers who dedicate the entire lesson to being on the laptop in high school. And it's lost. There's no instructional time there. It's work on physics because it's pretty, it's a 3D model. So if we haven't figured out yet, and we can't say, has it been a success or hasn't it been a success from the user's perspective? You talk about how great it's going to be because you're going to shave 5 minutes of class for the teacher. What's it doing for the kid? How's it really truly helping them? Is it? It isn't. Maybe it might. But this entire discussion this evening revolved around staff and administrators. There's no input from the kids even who were using the laptops in the middle school today. I find it disconcerting that we're going to spend whatever dollar amount it is, but we don't even know whether what we've got going on in the high school is definitively been a success by the user ratio. I I really think if you're gonna go forward and you're gonna plot this out and you've got yourself some time, maybe somebody ought to better just, project manage this and actually find out, like, success standard here, what are we looking to accomplish, and have we accomplished that in the high school? You've had years of users, to not have any statistical data would blow me away, unless we just let them walk out the door and we didn't say after 4 years, did you find it successful? Did you find it helpful? Did an app help you more than another app? These kids are brain trusts when it comes to this stuff. But I also gotta tell you, they spend more time on Google Messenger between each other in the classroom than I guarantee anyone in this room has an idea truly about. And if you think the high schoolers can get into that, you don't think the middle schoolers are gonna figure out how to do that 10 times faster and 10 times longer? Shame on us. But to not have any understanding of where you've been and your successes, your failures, and to talk about it from the staff's perspective and the administrative perspective, and not have any input from parents on whether they want this or not to have any input from students on whether they thought this was a success or not, but we're gonna move forward and make this recommendation. But we have nothing to base that on. It sounds great, but where's the quantitative data to prove it?
Mrs. Furlong?
Sue Furlong, West Rockville Township. I know, for instance, I have 3 grandchildren. I have other ones too, but the younger ones. Their parents don't want the technology in the house because it interferes. And also there have been studies about how it molds the brain. And my grandmother used to tell me, don't sit too close to the TV. Don't watch TV all day. And so we're going to add another electronic device. I don't know that it's good for the young kids. When they get older, they can balance their time and they're more mature, they can make those decisions. But, as a parent, I know my son and his wife don't want electronic devices given to their children. I tried. Because it interferes with what they have planned, which is more of a hands-on learning, a hands-on reading experience for the younger child. And I just see us like, oh, this is 21st century, oh my gosh. I think at a certain young age, you may be doing more harm than good. And I believe, in my own way of thinking, that 6th grade, I personally think 6th grade is too young. Now, I'll get off of that. Your logic, I thought, was a little bit lacking. You're telling me that as a machine gets older, it's more inclined to have the warranty issues, it's breaking down, it's not working as well. So we're in a 3-year model, buying a 2-year warranty. So in the 3rd year, where we're having all of the breakdowns, or the higher proportion of breakdowns, you've dropped your warranty. Your logic is bad. That's the way I see it. If you're going to have 3 years, then you get 3-year warranty, because it's in that 3rd year, according to what you said, you're going to experience a need for a warranty. That's just my observation. Price point. You're going to purchase these. At the high school, it was determined cash flow wise, it's a much better deal to lease than to purchase. You've got 3 grades here. That's 1,800 computers. You're going to find that leasing, cash flow wise, is going to be more economical than purchasing. And at the end of the 3 years, you don't have to worry and spend any time with disposal. It goes back and you get new ones. And again, it's cheaper to lease it than it is to purchase that new one. I think you need parental permission at these young ages to introduce this technology into their home in the evening. I think it's presumptuous for you all to just believe, hey, we know what's best for your kid in the evening while he's at home. That's not your time. Your time is during the day. And for you to start encroaching on that child's evening time with no permission from the people that run the house, mom and dad, I believe that's the wrong attitude for the young children especially. When they get older, you're saying you want to prepare them for this, that, and the other. Well, you've got 4 years. And to add 3 years to that at an age where, really and truly, I believe it's too young, but to add 3 years to that is not going to get you 3 years of incremental knowledge, because they're too immature to make that count as much as it's going to count in the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So you're going to a large expense, a large investment in time, and I don't think the payback's going to be there. Maybe in the 8th grade to prepare them for high school, but 6th and 7th, honestly, I'll bet you test scores don't budge a bit because of it. The remark was made, we're going to do $20 a year for the insurance. That's what we're going to suggest. I'm going to suggest if it's $30 a year, you suggest $30 a year. Find out what it is, and that's what the parent pays. I don't want to subsidize it. If it's $20, that's great. Charge $20. But make sure it's not more than $20. And I don't even mind if you put a little processing fee on that, because it's going to take time of our staff here, and that needs to be covered as well. I don't need to pay for that. But anyway, my recommendation is don't dip too young. Don't presume to encroach on the time at home. You have them during the day. And get permission from the parents for the young kids, because I don't think the payback is there in terms of knowledge acquired. And I would get a warranty. If I got a 3-year scenario,